Hey guys, Cam here. Today we're going to be talking about psychological ED and how to tell the difference between that and a physical issue. So if this video ends up being helpful for you, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons so I can help reach more men who are suffering from this problem as well. Stick around. This is Cam from No Pills, No Surgery, and after a 7-year-long battle with erectile dysfunction, I overcame it, and I've also helped other men overcome this problem. So if you're watching this video, I'm sorry, because it means you probably have ED, and I know that sucks. So I do want to give some information here to try and help you out. I know that a lot of men that I work with and men that I read on the internet come across this problem where they don't know how to figure out if their problem is mental or emotional. And I went through this process myself, so I'm speaking both from experience and from working with other men. And in order to really answer this question, I think we need to define what it means, because the lines of this are actually a lot more blurry than people realize. And so when we talk about mental, it encompasses to me mental, emotional, and psychological. All of those things together I'm just going to call mental most of the time. So if I just say mental, just know I'm actually talking about all of those. And to me, a mental issue basically means that the root cause of what's causing this problem is anxiety or fear, some sort of emotional thing that is preventing the body from acting in the way that we want it to work. You know, it keeps you from getting a boner when you want to get a boner. And this could vary from not ever being able to get a boner to also, just not being able to get it up when you want to be able to, and everything in between. And the challenging thing that comes with this is that the root cause of this problem can be mental, and it can present physical symptoms, and it can be physical, and it can present mental symptoms. So the difference between these two is that with a physical problem, the only way to alleviate the problem is through something surgical or through some sort of pill. It could be something like changing your testosterone levels and things like that. So you do want to go to a doctor, and you do want to have things like your testosterone levels checked just to make sure it's not something really obvious and simple. But if you've had like an accident where there's not enough blood flow that gets there or something like that, you may also have anxiety. It may also present because it feels uncomfortable when you try and get it up with someone and you can't. Like, there's a lot of emotional stuff there, and that's okay. But the way that most men experience this problem, from my experience, about 90, I would say 90, even possibly as high as 95% of men are actually dealing with a mental issue. And even if you think like you might be on the fence about which one it is, it makes sense to approach it from the aspect of it's a mental issue, because even if you correct the physical issue, the mental issue could still prevent ED. So, or still cause ED. So we have a really hard time in the West feeling our emotions as men. We aren't taught how to do this or really how to deal with them. And we aren't really taught about how the connection between our mind and body happens. And so it's kind of an idea for a lot of us, but we don't have a good experience of it. Like, it's something that makes a lot of sense to us. So the one that is always easiest for people to understand from my experience is that if you've had a really rough day at work, and it's been really stressful, just one thing after another, you come home and you just want to just rub your shoulders. You know, there's this stress carried in your shoulders and your back, and like you can feel knots there that after a few hours of relaxing, they just go away. And that is an emotional, your body responding to an emotional challenge in a physical way. And so when you're dealing with this from an emotional aspect, what's happened physically is you're going into fight or flight. So if you're in an experience where you're going home with a girl or a guy, whatever your preferences are, and you're getting to the point where you want to have sex with them, but you've had an experience that leads you to wonder whether or not you're going to be able to get it up, the thing that's going to happen is you're going to feel afraid because you don't want to feel the embarrassment. You don't want to be made fun of or like feel inferior. So what happens is that your body is going to respond to that fear, and it's going to go into fight or flight, and it's going to clench. Your body prepares itself to defend when you go into fight or flight, and if you're being attacked by a tiger, you don't want to have an erection. It's just how your physiology works. So the best way, from my experience, is to approach it from that. But I'm going to give you some ways to just kind of test yourself and see if there's any obvious symptoms that it could be one or the other. So the first question that I always ask people is, do you ever get natural erections? Because if you're getting natural erections, it means that your physiology is working correctly. So if you can wake up and you have morning wood, or during a normal course of a day, you just start to get a normal boner without physically stimulating yourself or watching porn or anything like that, then your physiology is working correctly. And it just means that situationally it's not working, which points to the fact that it isn't probably a physical issue. And then the next question was, do you have anxiety around sex before and like leading up to it and during? And if you do, it's a pretty obvious one that it's going to be an emotional issue, or it might be an emotional issue. And if you don't get natural erections, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a physical problem, because it can still be. I can tell you, I didn't get natural erections for the better part of a decade, until I overcame my issue. So you have to look at all these together. And the next question I would ask is, are you or have you ever been addicted to porn? And I'm not going to go into a lot of details in this video about porn, because there's a lot of other resources that are going to do it way better than I can. And I'll put a link in the section down below for you to a website called Your Brain on Porn, which is just fantastic. They have great resources on it. But basically, when you watch porn, it affects your body, the chemicals in your body, and your dopamine responses, and a lot of other things. But so most people, when they think about porn, they think of it, oh, this is a physical issue. And porn addiction does present in physical ways, but it's been my experience that the important question to ask yourself is, why were you addicted to porn in the first place? If you are capable of going out and having sex with whoever you want, whenever you want, you have no anxiety about it, or you have somebody that you really like and you can have sex with them whenever you want, the chances of you being addicted to porn are going to be way lower. And the reason that a lot of men get addicted to porn is because of the anxiety that causes ED to begin with. So there's a quote from Alan Watts. He says, all addictions begin and end with pain. And I can tell you from my own experience with porn addiction and ED that I had a whole lot of pain that I wasn't dealing with. And dealing with it helped me get through this. So, and then the last thing that I would ask is, have you ever had a sexually traumatic experience? And this is one of those ones that's kind of tricky, because you may not think of something as being a sexually traumatic experience, but your body may have experienced it that way. So sexually traumatic experiences can range from things like actually being sexually assaulted, to things like my mom walked in on me while I was masturbating, or even something like religious views on sex that just create a lot of shame around it. So any of these things can really cause the types of anxieties like fear or shame that can actually cause your body to shut down physically. And so when we look at all these questions together, so if you go through and it turns out that you do get natural erections, once again, pretty strong chance that you are going to be dealing with some sort of emotional, mental thing. If you don't get natural erections, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a physical issue. If you do have anxiety, like leading up to or during sex, probably a mental issue. If you don't have any of that, then great. It may be more of a physical issue. If you have been addicted to porn, or you're currently addicted to porn, this one is a really big pointer to me that it's a mental emotional issue. And then same thing with sexually traumatic experience. If you've had a sexually traumatic experience, then the chances are that it is going to be a mental emotional thing, or at least that there is a mental emotional component. And if the answer to all of these questions is no, that's when I would start looking more at the physical. Once again, because some of the physical things are just so easy to rule out, it's worth going to a doctor. Have your testosterone checked. But at the end of the day, my experience is that most men, especially under the age of 40, they're looking at things that are really more mental emotional. All right, guys, I hope that was really helpful. So I am going to be creating a lot more content. This channel is going to be dedicated to dealing with erectile dysfunction issues. So in the comments, leave me some questions you may have or your feedback on this video. I'd love to hear what you guys think. This video and this channel is really going to be for helping you. I do also work with men one-on-one, so if that's interesting to you, I'll have a link down below so you can find a way to get a hold of me. And then it really help me out if you would like and subscribe. Hit the like button down below and subscribe. It'll help me out, but it'll also help get this video more reachable to other men so that they can also get help. So thanks for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.